This is why I always recommend to people, sit down, take your time, and start thinking about.
Which I understand, and this is maybe for the young people, but I mean, I call it just basically routines. I have a routine which basically means you do something where you don't have to think much, if at all. Like, I believe that routines are very important. It's kind of like the foundation, like to a house or to a building or to anything. So that means like if I get up in the morning, part of my routine is to get up in the morning, let's say 5 o'clock, then I make my coffee, I feed the animals, I go and read the paper, go through my iPad, see if there are any important messages. So that's part of the routine. I don't even think about that. I also, part of the routine is that I have my bike already mounted on the back of my car. I drive down and then take it off, and I ride with the bike to the gym in the morning around 6 o'clock or so.
I had no things, we had no TV, we had no refrigerator, we had nothing as kids, but I was rich because I had a dream. I had a dream of becoming the greatest bodybuilder, and I had a dream to use bodybuilding as a means to get into films. But I had no idea that it would go as far as it did, that it would go beyond the body roles, beyond the muscles, and then do movies like Terminator, Predator, End of Days and stuff like that. That was like, I had to kind of reinvent my dream after I achieved that. Well, I grew up in Austria. I was born after the Second World War in 1947. It was poverty, there was no food around, really nothing, and I think that was the reason why I developed such a tremendous desire, a desire to get out of there, and a desire to make it in life, to achieve big things. And then when I learned in school later on about America and about the skyscrapers, the big freeways, the big cars and all that, I said to myself, I want to be part of this big thing.
I mean, I'm a positive person. I tell you that I'm happy that my house hasn't burned down. I think it has something to do that I'm hanging out with Sly every so often. Fires happen all the time, and I think that during my administration, we have seen, because of climate change and other things, the fires increased. There was no more fire season. It was kind of all year round. Like, as you can see, this is very unusual to have in October such huge fire. So they are not only in Southern California, but they're in Northern California. They're all over the place. And when I was governor, there was one time I went to bed and they said there's around 500 fires all over California. And I was like, I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was like up thinking to myself, how do you handle this? And what do you do about it? How do you have the resources for all those different places and all this? And then in the morning, I get up and I make a call and they tell me there's now 2,012 fires all over California. I mean, just to think, to show you the size of it all, it's so overwhelming that you really have to kind of pull your act together and get, the National Guard was helping. I mean, everyone was helping. The federal government was helping, the local firefighters. And we have one big advantage here in California.
Well, it makes the pump completely different, but it also the muscle responds differently if you do a pushing exercise and a pulling exercise. Let's say, for instance, with bench press and with chin-ups. So it worked much better when we did a set of bench press, and immediately after that went to the chin-up bar and did a set of chin-ups. By that time, the pectoral muscle has rested, so now it's time again to go back and to do the bench press. First of all, you train twice as fast, and number two, it's a better pump. The muscle responds better to that. You get more definition and muscle separation by doing that. So it really worked well. And sometimes we even not just did a superset, but we did 3-4 sets. And I was training with Sergio Oliva. And Sergio Oliva in Chicago, when I worked out with him in 1969, he was doing like 4 sets in a row. It was kind of common practice. And so I said to myself, I was doing like 3 sets in a row. That was common practice for me. So he actually pushed me to do 4 sets and to think beyond and to do 5, because he trained with Bob Guida, who used to do 6 sets in a row. So it opened up a whole new thing for me, just like Reg Park did when it comes to calf raises, where I did always like with 300-pound calf raises and 400-pound calf raises, but all of a sudden I saw Reg Park doing with 1,000-pound calf raises. And I said, oh my God, I never even thought about that, that is humanly possible. And then I pushed myself to go up to that level.
I was selling things already with the age of 8, going around selling ice cream at various different public swimming pools and stuff like that, where I thought that people are too lazy maybe to go to an ice stand somewhere around the corner. They just like to lie there. And I just walked all over the place and screamed, ice cream, and all this stuff. And people bought and I made a lot of money. It is true that people are surprised, but I think a lot of times they are also surprised by the fact that I came from another country. And people are always surprised when foreigners come over here and make it big. I always experienced the kind of a thing where people said, I don't think you will make it. I mean, even when I was 15 years old and I told people that I want to be Mr. Universe and I want to be a world champion in bodybuilding. And the same happened with acting. When I then changed over to acting, I tried to get an agent. I had the most difficult time finding an agent that would represent me because they all just said, listen, there's no way that you will make it. I mean, you have a crazy name that nobody can pronounce. You have a strange looking physique that cannot fit in any movie. All the movies that are done have slim guys in there.
Thoughts and ideas can make much more money than actual physical labor. And physical labor is always part of the action because I always say you got to work your ass off no matter what you do because now you have a great idea, but then you still have to implement it and you have to hustle, you have to go to the bank, get your financial statement, do this and that, and raise money sometimes, and you go to look at 1,000 apartment buildings to find the right one and all those kind of things. So you still have to work. But normally, if it's just physical labor, you can never make the money. The secret is there's certain times don't think. Like when you get up in the morning, don't think. Just roll out of bed, go in your life cycle, or go on a bicycle ride, or go to the gym, work out. You know that's what you have to do, and then read something and learn something.
Well, I think that the number one thing is you have to have a very clear vision, a very clear goal of where you want to go, because only then you will get there. You can have the best airplane or the best ship in the world, but if the captain doesn't know where to go, he will just drift around. If the pilot does not know where to go, he will just drift around with his plane. So I think the key thing is that we know where we're going and that you're very passionate about that, that you see it always in front of you, the goal. And the other thing that's important is that you got to shoot for the top. You got to go and really have big goals and think big, because then you're going to get big. Then you're going to go and achieve big things. That is the most important thing. We don't achieve big things by accident. So shoot for the top, shoot for the sky, shoot for the for the stars. The other thing is that you got to work your butt off. If you think that you're gonna go and accomplish something really special and be the best in anything in the world, and you think you can do it without working, you make a big mistake. Because no matter what I did, if it was in bodybuilding or in acting or if it is in the political arena, it always took a lot of work.
So I was determined, and by 1975, I remember that Bob Rafelson, who did 5 Easy Pieces and Easy Rider and those movies with Jack Nicholson, he came to me and says, I want to do the movie Stay Hungry, and I want you and Sally Fields and Jeff Bridges star in the movie. I said to myself, man, with this director, I have it made. And right after that, we did Pumping Iron. And right after that, we did the Streets of San Francisco, guest starred, and then The Villain with Kirk Douglas and Margaret. And then Ed Pressman came to me and said, I just bought the Conan rights from the Robert E. Howard estate. And I'm gonna do Conan. And I'm gonna lock you in for 5 movies to do Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer and King Conan and all those movies. And I signed a deal with him. So, I mean, I had it made. I mean, there I was in 1980 doing Conan the Barbarian with Universal Studio, Dino De Laurentiis producing, Ed Pressman producing, Oliver Stone has written the script, right? And John Milius rewrote the script and then directed it. So my plan worked again.